Have you ever been playing a video game and thought to yourself, you know, this is great, I'm having a good time playing this game, but I just really want to play something entirely different? A common problem with a simple solution. Minigames. Just like regular games, except most of the time I honestly don't like them very much. That's not to say I have any real issue with them, because they rarely ever take away from an experience in any other way than focus. But still, a majority of the time, I'm not exactly excited to play a minigame. Part of that opinion was probably shaped by my first real introduction to minigames, from my first real introduction to gaming, the Legend of Zelda series. Minigames are a staple of the Zelda series, starting with the very first game, kind of. I'd call them a core part of the series' identity, and I'd also call them one of the weakest parts of almost every game. Let's do a little thought experiment. What's your favorite Zelda minigame? Yeah, that's what I thought. You don't like any of them. Okay, that's a bit harsh. Some of the minigames are actually pretty good. In some cases, I do find them genuinely fun. A few of Breath of the Wild's minigames come to mind, specifically the shield surfing, and to a lesser extent the paragliding. The trendy game in the Link's Awakening remake is genuinely one of the best parts of that product, and while the battleship minigame in Wind Waker isn't exactly fun, the over-the-top voice lines make it a worthwhile minigame in my book. Unfortunately, I end up playing the majority of these minigames just to get the heart piece waiting at the end, and then I never touch them again. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way you're intended to play them. Most of these minigames have so little substance that I can't imagine the developers intended you to play them more than a couple of times. If they're meant to be just little challenges that they can lock a heart piece behind, they work. I can't really complain about that. But I do think these rewards would be better placed behind a puzzle, or enemy gauntlet, or side quest, etc. Are these other ideas harder to design? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they'd lead to an overall better game experience. It comes back to something I brought up in the last video. Is the player doing something because they enjoy it, or are they doing something because you've promised to give them something? I'm strongly of the opinion that games should be designed with the former as their goal. It's like my good friend Reginald always says, if it's not fun, why did you make this? And I know that this criticism is entirely shaped by my personal preferences. If you actually enjoy these minigames, this point doesn't mean very much to you. But the least the series could do is have a better variety. If you don't like shooting galleries, races, or minigames entirely built around random chance, you don't have many to enjoy. Seriously, I did the math basing this off of a page on the Zelda wiki, and genuinely exactly half of the page fell into one of these three categories. Check the description for the actual numbers, and keep in mind that the wiki was incomplete, and I had to make some judgment calls throughout. But I think you get the point. Not only are these minigames lacking in substance, they're pretty darn samey across the series. But, believe it or not, I didn't want to make this video just to complain about minigames I don't like. No, I was actually inspired to make this video by, in my mind, the king of minigames, the Yakuza series. Or the Yakuza series, I don't know, I'm not a linguist. I'm gonna say Yakuza though. The joke among Yakuza fans is that these games are better viewed as minigame collections with a bonus crime drama than the other way around. Running around and beating people up is what initially hooked me, but it's the minigames that keep me coming back. Variety is the greatest strength of these. Are they all good? No, far from it. There are plenty that I played a few times and never want to play again. But there are so many of these things with such varied types of gameplay that I'm pretty sure every person can find at least a few that appeal to them. For me, it's all about the disco minigame, the pocket circuit minigame, and especially the karaoke minigames. I'm not joking when I say that this is my favorite part of each game. And compared to the minigames in the Zelda series, each one in the Yakuza series is packed with content. With a few exceptions, you can't really see all they have to offer in just a few minutes. Some of them have varying difficulty levels, some of them have customization, some of them have associated side quests, and some of them are pretty much just full games disguised as a minigame. The variety, the substance, this cutscene, this is how you design a group of minigames. Well, with a few exceptions. Some of you may have noticed something sinister lurking in the shadows throughout this video. Gambling minigames. Do you know why gambling is fun in real life? Me neither, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's the stakes. The excitement of putting something on the line for the chance to win big. Take away those stakes and all you have are aggravating games of chance. In most video games, any gambling minigame isn't going to put anything on the line but in-game currency, so essentially your time. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to put real money on the line, but if there aren't going to be any stakes, why even add a gambling minigame in the first place? I was initially going to touch on Fallout New Vegas in this section, but getting that game to run stably is a sort of minigame in and of itself, and unfortunately I'm not very good at that one. But the general point is that I didn't even know the gambling existed until about 85 hours in, and I'm probably better off because of it. Don't ask how I missed the gambling in a game called New Vegas. I didn't spend a lot of time in the strip, alright? No, instead let's go back to the series I've brought up so far. In Zelda, the gambling minigames are more tools than games. They don't seem to be designed to be fun, they're more just a risky way to make some cash. I can respect these more than most, because they don't pretend to be something they're not. They're quick. You get in, choose one of your options, and get your results in a matter of seconds. They're not very fun or interesting, but they're not supposed to be. They're tools that the player can choose to use if they're feeling lucky. In stark contrast are the gambling minigames in the Yakuza series, which are longer and more complex, being based off of actual, real-world games. These seem to be designed to be enjoyable, seeing as the game expects you to play them for a long time, but seriously, how fun could roulette possibly be after you remove the stakes? These don't seem to be designed as tools either, because I swear, these games are more stacked here than in real life. I'm convinced it's not even possible to profit off of these without save scumming. These gambling minigames are almost always a net loss. You waste your time and you lose your resources. Why do these even exist? And if you're going to add a gambling minigame, at least make it fun to look at. I'm making this point entirely so I can talk about the Slime Quest slot machines in Dragon Quest XI. Just look at this. This may be the only gambling minigame I can say I enjoy rather than just tolerating. That's not because it's fun or really engaging or even a very effective way to make money, but come on, look at him go. This is how you get a minigame to capture and hold my attention. And at the end of the day, that's really the primary job of any minigame, to keep the player's attention. I consider all of the negative examples I've brought up in this video failures, not because there's some fatal flaw in their design, or because they're not as good as the rest of the game. They're failures because they couldn't keep me interested. A good minigame serves as a break from the rest of the game. They're distractions. So when a minigame can't get a player to keep coming back to want to take that break, then it's failed to serve its purpose. Again, even a bad minigame isn't a big issue. It's not like an optional activity can really ruin a game, because if you don't like it, you can just not play it. But I do just wish more minigames were good. So, to any game designers trying to design a collection of minigames, focus on substance, focus on variety, and focus on the funny visuals. Those are a necessity, I swear.